21. From then to now. Part 21. The cat was already there, and looked at me as I came into the room. "Qui passo?" he said, with a little accent to his voice. I just looked at him and giggled. "Buenos dias, Goldie," said Paul. "Have some beans to empower you today," he said, as Mary and he both laughed. I began to laugh too. "Both of you are great," I said. "I am always so glad to know you. I have to get away from myself in some way, so I want to work in the fields today." "It's going to be hot again, youngster," said Paul, as he ate his beans and rice. "I know, but it will be good for me to do something and then be real tired. Maybe I can knock what's in me out and be done with it," I said, hoping that it would be so. We worked in the fields all day, until the sun finally decided to give up the heat and cool down a little. As an Indian, I could take the heat, and so could Paul and Mary. They were real tough. That evening we all sat around and talked and laughed about how hot it was. I felt a lot better, because the day had made such an impression on me that I forgot all about what I had gone through. I now really appreciated my time with Shiss. I thought about her all day long. Our relationship was different from the ones on Earth, similar but different. In the real worlds of being, there is a much better relationship than the physical part that happens on Earth. Each person is unique, and they live in an illuminated reality, if they have the awareness to do so. We ate and talked for a while, and then went to bed rather early. I didn't realize how tired I was. I wanted to write a little bit, but I fell right to sleep. I woke up on the inner and found myself sitting on the sand and watching the waves roll in. Then I looked to the right, and there was Shiss sitting there. I had to laugh, and then so did she. It is so nice to just let go and realize there is nothing to pursue. The inner turmoil that you go through is your considering that you have to resolve things as they come into your life. Just let them be, and live your life, and fill yourself with the love that is everything. You have already made your choice about your destination, and you know what it is. It is there for you, within yourself, so enjoy the process," she said, while smiling at me with her hand on mine. "I know that I am too hard on myself, Shiss, There is a part of me that wants to constantly grab at life. I don't as yet understand it, but I am wanting to, I said, looking out at the lovely view of the water. Just enjoy what you are going through, and the things that come with them. Then all will pass, and you will become your dream, an illuminated being, without any concern for the limitations that are to be found in life, she said so sweetly. I so enjoy you teaching me. It helps me to centre on what is important. You are the angel of healing for me, Miss Shiz. Rebazar Tars has taught me so much, but you have brought me so much more than I could ever have imagined. I think about you all the time, and how you are. You have filled my life with such a joy that nothing else seems to matter. I know what I must do, and knowing that you are with me is such a great strength to go on into whatever is to occur, I said. We sat and watched the waves roll onto the shore. Within myself, I was constantly sorting out the things I didn't want as a part of my life. I soon found myself on the floor in the house, and feeling the aches of the body as I woke up from being with Shiz. Paul and Mary were just getting up. "Good morning, you two," I said. "I think I may start sleeping on the bed and stop being the Indian. My body is feeling the pain. Actually, I remember that I did start off on the bed, but ended up on the floor." They both laughed and said the bed was the best idea ever invented. I had to laugh at how they said what they did. I began to realize they were right. All of us met in the other room and sat down and rested from just getting up and moving to the next room. We giggled as we looked at each other, because we knew what we were all thinking. "Rice and beans again, Mary?" said Paul in a funny voice, and we all laughed and laughed until they were ready. "Are we working outside today, Paul?" I asked. "You can help me do a few things, Goldie," he said, as we finished and went outside for most of the day. In the late afternoon we came in and sat with Mary while she made us a bite and something to drink. Just as we were finishing, we heard some horses ride up. "Who do you think that is, Mary?" asked Paul, as he had a big grin on his face. "You know what? I'll bet you're right," she said, as they both hurried from their chairs and went outside. I immediately got up and followed them. "Rosa and Sonia," said Mary. "I knew it was you two." She went over to them, and helped them off their horses. "Dad, Mum, we are so glad to see you," said Rosa, as Sonia didn't say a word, as she calmly got off her horse and was bent over. "Mamma, Sonia is very sick. She needs to rest until she gets better. That is why we came to you. She wanted to be here," said Rosa. Everyone went inside, as Rosa and Mary took Sonia to her bedroom. "Mamma, who is that man in our house?" asked Rosa. "That is Goldie. He has been here for a while now to write his book," said Mary. "That's Goldie. He's a beautiful man now, isn't he, Mamma?" she said. "Oh yes, more than you know, Rosa," said Mary. Sonia didn't say a word, but went right to sleep. Then Mary and Rosa came back into the front room. Rosa came up to me, as she was standing with Paul. "Goldie, I didn't know that was you. It's been so many years since I saw you. You are a big boy now," said Rosa, and then gave me a hug, and then turned to Paul. "Dad, it is so good to see you," and gave him a hug and a kiss. "Let's all sit at the table, and I will make everyone something to drink," said Mary. All of us gathered around and sat down. "Tell us what's wrong with Sonia, Rosa," said Paul. "I'm not sure, Dad, but a few of the children in her class came down with the same symptoms. 2 days ago she was feeling bad, and she thought that it would go away, so she didn't want to bother you. But this morning it was worse, and she asked me to bring her here. The town doctor looked at her, but he has no idea what she has. He suggested she rest and see what happens," said Rosa. "Mary and I will find out tonight. We will go and see Rebazar Tars and ask him," said Paul, as Rosa immediately interrupted. "Dad, she needs a real doctor, not one of your fantasies," said Rosa, with a bit of emotional strain in her voice. I sat there and was amazed at what I was hearing. With all the experiences Paul and Mary have had, I would have thought that their daughters would have learned from them. I decided to keep quiet and let their family situation handle itself. Rosa, some day you will wake up to what's happening within yourself, and find there is so much more to you than what any doctor knows," said Mary. "Okay, Mum, I know you and Dad get a little strange at night. I can see that, so I won't interfere with what you decide," said Rosa. I had to laugh at what she said, and as I did, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Stop that, Goldie, you're being silly," said Mary, as she was giggling also. I had to say something, and I did. What strange things do you two do anyhow? I asked, trying to hold back from bursting out loud. Paul and Mary looked at me with a funny look on their face, and then began to laugh out loud. Yes, Mary, what are the strange things we have been doing lately? Asked Paul. I'll tell you what we did strange. We raised a daughter who can't find herself yet, said Mary, and all of us began to laugh, even Rosa. Here's something to drink, said Mary, as she served everyone, and then sat down with us. Sonia will be fine. She probably needs a rest from the big city life you girls have been living, she said, and smiled at Rosa, then hugged her. You're probably right, Mama. I think I need a rest from the city life myself. It's so nice and peaceful out here. I deal with so many people every day, and some of them are so picky and snooty because I am a Mexican, said Rosa. A beautiful Mexican-American, Rosa, I said, and then she began to blush a little. There was a silence for a few moments, and then everyone loosened up again. You better watch what you say, Goldie, or you'll have to deal with her, said Mary, and everyone started laughing, as I sat there smiling. She was right. I should just say nothing, and be uninterested for my own survival. Rosa, what about the school? Who will be teaching? Asked Paul. I don't know, Dad, but I would think there would be someone who would take over. I didn't think about asking anyone. I was only concerned for Sonia, said Rosa. Well, Goldie, this could be the position that you're looking for. Why don't you ride into town and see if you can get the position? Asked Paul, with a smile on his face, as Mary nodded her head several times in agreement. Are you a teacher now, Goldie? Asked Rosa. I was thinking that it would be a good idea for what I will be doing in the future, I said. Mr. and Mrs. Hastings might consider you, because, as far as I know, there is no one else. I will help you out with what I can, but I would suggest that you tell them you have some kind of experience. Otherwise they would probably say no, because they are rather particular, said Rosa, as she looked me over. I will see what I can come up with by morning for something to tell them. This sounds great, and I will be ready in the morning. I will sleep outside tonight, because the house is so full. All of you have a lot to talk about, so I will say good night, I said. It was already getting late, so I excused myself and went outside. I sat in the hammock for a while, thinking about tomorrow, and what I was going to tell the townspeople. I did teach the men about scouting, and how to talk to animals, but I don't think the townspeople would understand the connection to what I did, and for teaching children. Suddenly, life was bringing a new adventure for me, a new challenge. I knew I was ready for it. I just had to figure it out. I took my time and thought over as many details as I could about all the possibilities of how I would teach children. As I went to sleep, I kept thinking about talking with those in charge of the school. I fell asleep and found myself at the foot of the mountain again. This time I flew to the top and sat there, and thought about teaching, and how I would proceed once I had the position. As I was sitting there and looking out over the water, I happened to notice a bright star in the blue sky that was far out over the horizon above the sea. It was becoming brighter, and then I realized that it was coming closer to me. I had an impression that it was Schiss. I would soon find out, because it was almost here. As it was right in front of me, I could see that it was her. She gently floated down to where I was, and became a glowing person, and then she came over and hugged me. "Hello, Goldie. I can see that you have visitors," she said with a smile on her face. "Mary and Paul's daughters. They are at the house for a while," I said. "Here is your chance to start what you wanted. You see how life is. You already know what you want, and you are willing to provide something of real value in exchange, you might say. This has been the reason for all your training. The real guides have taught many down through the ages, but not all those who were taught the true way have followed through with providing a real benefit for others. There have been those who have misused what they have learned, and distorted the real meaning of what the real guides are trying to provide for all. Your heart is in a good place, the centre of light and love. You have so much to give and learn, and it is your intent and perseverance that will help you succeed, because you will not give up. You will meet so many along the road of life that will try and influence you, and at times you will veer a little, but your heart and being will always be in the real, because of your real intent," she said. "What about what Sonia is going through right now? Will she be all right?" I asked. "The illness that Sonia has is a lesson for her that was brought on by her. She will be fine. She just has to rest for a while. She was raised with her parents in the simple life, and then went to the big city to explore and learn about herself, so that she can eventually discover her own beingness. Each time any of us takes the next step into the unknown, there is so much more to realize and adjust to. Her illness has provided an opportunity for you to move forward into more possibilities that will expose themselves to you. It is always your choice to do so, because there are very few who will travel the road you are on. This is where you are coming into her life, and she into yours. She is a very special connection for you to progress even further. So be patient and watch closely what takes place, she said. I sat and listened very patiently to Shiss. It was a wonderful experience to hear her voice as she presented the wealth of knowledge from her very being. Life is so wonderful from this position, Shiss. I can see the definite limitations with the written word. All of this becomes so much more real when it is told to me verbally by you and Rebazar Tars, and even my family, about the true reality. I do so appreciate what you are doing, because it helps me to see more clearly what I want to provide, and how I will set out to do it. I know that writing and having people read what I have written is just the first step, and I will continue to learn and present what I know to be true and real, and so much better as I go along and learn more. Getting people to look within themselves for real truth will be the interesting adventure, I said. The real wonder of you, Goldie, is how you hold your heart above everything else. You are willing to give of yourself to provide a way for others to experience themselves. I will always be with you, no matter where you are. You are doing very well. Just live your life and be. It is time for you to go back and discover your new life, she said, as she put her hands on my face, ever so gently, and then kissed me. She began to glow, and then lifted herself up in the air, and sailed off toward the sun, until she became the light that shined upon all. I stood there for a moment or so, and just stared at the great light that was in the sky. I knew that some day I would know and have the wonderful beingness that life is. I woke up to the sound of Paul's rooster. The sun was just coming up, and I was all alone outside, watching the stars in the sky fade into the morning light. As I began to move the body, I could feel the aches beginning to occur. When I'm gone, the body sleeps very well, so well that it never moves, and I am left with a stiffness that I have to get through. I eased my way up, and rather hobbled over to the house. I kept thinking that I was still young, but I felt like I was aging real fast. No one was up yet, so I went to see my horse. He seemed to be doing fine as he started talking to me.